everyone, my name is Roya, and today I am going to tell you all about the books that I read in the first half of February. So I read 3 books in the first half of February. The first one is Colors in the Dreamweaver's Loom by Beth Hillgartner. I'm actually going to put the cover image up here somewhere. But anyway, this is a portal fantasy about a girl who goes to another world, and that's basically it. So I expected to really, really like this book because out of all the portal fantasies that I've heard about lately, that I've sought out, this one kind of seemed like the most interesting, but ultimately it ended up being kind of just okay. Mostly just because a lot of the plot points are like super convenient and there was little conflict. So basically she literally just kind of, we only get a couple pages to even figure out who she is or anything. She kind of just, she's sad because her father died, so she starts crying, so she pulls over to the side of the road. She gets out of the car, and then she basically ends up in another world, and kind of right away, she meets people who just kind of take her to their house and just say, you can stay here, and all of that stuff. So I kind of felt like there was so little conflict. Like, usually when you read about someone going to another world, there's like a bunch of stuff going on where they're like, what am I doing here? People are trying to kill me, like whatever's going on. And usually, people don't just kind of, so it seems kind of weird for her to just get there and people kind of just accept that she's not from there, and they're like, oh, you can just stay at our house. Like, there's no, I don't know. It was just kind of weird to me how there was so little like actual story there. Anything that happened to her upon getting there, nothing at all. So and also the world she goes to is so normal. Like, there's really nothing that interesting about it. Like, there are some interesting plot points where, there are some shapeshifters who, if they get forced into the shape of like a horse or whatever animal, they actually lose their humanity, and so they're like pissed off, but they don't know why. They're just animals and they're not human anymore, and they have no like memory of being human or anything. They just know that they're angry, which is kind of interesting. So there were a lot of things like that were kind of interesting, and the writing was pretty good, but like ultimately I kind of felt like there was such a lack of story to it that I was a little bit disappointed, but ultimately it was not a bad book at all. Next, I read Angel Flight by R.D. Carden. This is the sequel to Fly Girl, which I read and reviewed last year. This was sent to me for review by the author, and I really liked this one. I think this one was actually better than the first one, which is kind of funny. So the first one essentially is just about the main character becoming a pilot for, some company, etc., etc. And essentially it's just a whole bunch of workplace politics where she's kind of set up to take the fall for stuff that she didn't do, that it was really somebody else's mistake, kind of, that type of thing. So it was a lot more quietly, a lot of the conflict was kind of quiet, where she's just trying to navigate this like male-dominated field, all this stuff, because this takes place in like the 90s, where not a whole lot of women are pilots. It's mostly men still at that point. This one follows a lot more stuff happening in people's personal lives that are interfering with their work, and all kinds of drama that goes on, and it's ridiculous. So there are a lot of things happening in it where people are just losing their cool, and not able to deal with some of the stuff that's going on with them, and there are a lot of like secrets being kept from the main character, and a lot of like, cause basically it follows her as she's already dealt with a lot of the stuff from the first book and is kind of trying to get over it. She's seeing a therapist, and pilots are not supposed to see therapists at least in this time period. So she's totally doing that on the down low. Basically, she's not supposed to be seeing a therapist, and then, sorry, my bird keeps chirping. I don't know if you can hear him, but she starts dating this guy who, it seems like there's a problem. There's stuff that he's not telling her that could be detrimental to their relationship. And then meanwhile, he's also competing for the same job as her. And then also her kind of co-pilot, who's kind of like her trainee, is dealing with a lot of stuff that's like really interfering with his work, and he's almost not telling everything either. And we get some chapters from his point of view where we're just like, wow, dude, like chill. Holy crap, what is your deal? And so there's a lot going on in this book, and you just know throughout the whole book, you just know that there's something, the shit is gonna go down. It's gonna be really bad, but you have no idea just how bad or what it is that's gonna happen or anything. And it is like once everything kind of happens, like I had to shut the book and say holy shit out loud. Like I was amazed at just how I did not quite see the actual climax kind of coming, and I was like so amazed at how like crazy it was. But yeah, so this is a really good series so far, and I really enjoyed this book. There were definitely times where I could not put it down. And the third and final book that I read in the first half of February is The Velocity of Revolution by Marshall Ryan Maresca. This is a fantasy book, a diesel punk fantasy book, if you will, about a patrol officer who has to go undercover as a cycle gang member, essentially, and he has to go to this other city and infiltrate a cycle gang. And he also is doing this with this girl who was a captured rebel who's in a coma with her mind in his mind, essentially, so that he can use her knowledge to complete his mission. And so the entire time she hates him, she hates what he's trying to do, but she doesn't want him to be caught or anything because she's also in his body. She does not want anything bad to happen, you know, because she's living his experience as well. So it's really weird. And then of course he realizes that he might not really be on the right side. Maybe the rebels and stuff that he is trying to infiltrate actually are trying to do something good. All of that. So it is a really interesting book. I think it does take a while to get going, but ultimately it is a really interesting book that takes place in such a compelling world that's really well thought out. Like basically none of it, like it is in a city, like any city that we would know, but the society itself has all kinds of traditions, rules, everything that are not at all taken from anything else that I can think of. Like it's all very unique. And so I thought that the whole thing was really interesting. I think overall it starts off very there's a lot going on and a lot of people, and you don't necessarily know who everybody is, and it's kind of hard to juggle at times, but ultimately like it's a really good book set in a really interesting world, and the whole thing is really unique. I haven't really read anything else like this at all, so I really enjoyed reading it. So anyway, those are the books that I read in February, or the first half of February, rather. We have a whole second half of February to go, so hopefully I will read more books in the second half. But anyway, if you've read any of these books, have any thoughts on them, please let me know, and let me know what you've read in February so far that you are most excited about, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!